Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. You are listening to The Experiment, the Pittsburgh Steelers edition on Sunday evening in sunny Southern California. I'm your host, Joe Soro. I'm doing a little bit of experimenting on the background. I don't know if this is going to be something I do, but my good friend Chris created these backgrounds, and I figured what would look best in terms of a background, but shattered glass behind me with my face coming through it. So I'm sort of testing it out, seeing if I can do it without a green screen. Right now it looks okay, but I'll see how it kind of results as the show goes on. But I wanted to come on before the Laker game tonight because football is Sunday morning and evening. I should say Sunday morning and afternoon here where I'm at. And unfortunately, today, depending on where you are, the Steelers lose to the Cleveland Browns, which isn't something that I'm used to hearing or seeing in a game that was suspect in many ways in terms of decision making, in many ways, a microcosm of what's really happened in general in the NFL. And there's some details here I'm going to go into something maybe a little deeper into it in terms of kind of what's gone on in the NFL this year. The NFL has been sort of trending this way because the NFL has a really, 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 really good habit of adapting. What I mean by that is I'm used to seeing defenses, I'm used to seeing offenses adapt to change. And for the longest time in the NFL, you saw the dominance of the quarterback, especially the last decade and a half, maybe even 20 years, if you want to call it that. Although I don't know if I don't know how to make it make sense exactly. The dominance is I'm not trying to factor in the Peyton Mannings and the Tom Brady's in there so much because those guys are going to be dominant in any era, right? My conversation is more geared towards we saw guys like Kirk Cousins, and we saw guys like the secondary tiered guys that were thrown for 4,000 yards for a while there, where you didn't know what to make of it, right? You saw second tier, third tier quarterbacks put up numbers, put up Pro Bowl numbers, put up Hall of Fame type numbers, even though the league was a little suspect in that area, right? So this year, I've noticed that the NFL has really gone down in terms of quarterback dominance. And I don't know if the league can adjust any more than they have. So you can't really hit the quarterback above the waist. You can't really hit them below the waist. You can't fall on them when you sack the quarterback. You can't really spear them anywhere in any way in an aggressive manner. Even if they're sliding, you have to stop 4 minutes before they start to slide. I don't know what else the NFL can do to protect the quarterback. And in that, you're seeing a lot of injuries to major talent out there. So with that, I'm going to kind of correlate this with what's going on in the NFL. With the Steelers. Tonight, you saw, or today, depending on where you're at, you saw a team that has poor coaching with the right tools. And I say the right tools loosely in terms of talent on the outside with the receivers. You saw a stat today if you were watching the game. I know a lot of you are listening are Steeler fans. You saw that the Gainwell and Warren were the only running backs this year that had over 500 yards of total yards in terms of a duo. So in today's NFL, having two running backs is kind of the thing, so that you can kind of balance things out and not have one or the other get too beat up during what feels like a 45 game season nowadays, right? So I would say the offensive line got really good the last month and a half. I started protecting Aaron Rodgers. I didn't feel like pressure was coming at him. Hell, tonight we were expecting Myles Garrett to break the sack record, but I thought the Steelers' offensive line, despite some injuries, played as well as I've ever seen them play this year. And the running backs, had their moments, and I don't know if they necessarily made the right calls in continuing that. They did. They kind of got stifled again because they knew Aaron couldn't throw. Now, there is an issue in terms of availability. DK Metcalf, whom is always going to be a number 2 receiver at best, got his dumbass kicked out for 2 games because he couldn't handle fans doing things to him. Which I'm not going to front. Those kind of fans deserve to get punched in the face, but I would try to do that in a setting where you're not being seen by the NFL or anyone by the sidelines. So again, that's that. And then we lost Darnell Washington today to a broken arm, which essentially is likely a season-ending injury, because I don't really see the Steelers probably winning even a playoff game should they win next week. So there's going to be some harshness here, maybe a little bit more than what you're used to, especially with the new edition of the Steelers edition on the experiment. A lot of you are used to seeing Laker and Dodger talk, but the Pittsburgh Steelers talk is going to start to ramp up here, especially if the Steelers get back home next week and lose to the Ravens and end up going 9-8 again for God knows how many times they've done it without a playoff win. If the Steelers do not win a playoff game this season, it will be 10 straight seasons with no playoff win. For a coach, for a head coach that is going to go to the Hall of Fame. Imagine that. This is a coach that has only taken the team to the playoffs, at least right now, 4 times in 19 seasons. I mean, think about that for a second. We're in the 19th season. He's only gone 4 times. If it's 5 and they still lose that first game, what are we looking at there again? Right? We're still looking at 4 out of 19 in terms of 5 out of 19. But what does that mean when you're the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, when you're the 6-time Super Bowl champs, when you're measured by Super Bowl championships after 60 years? It will be 60 years now of Super Bowls. You have 10% of the Super Bowls, yet there seems to be this comfortable area that the ownership and others below the ownership are at in terms of satisfaction of just being a mediocre middle of the tier team. Imagine this. I used this example before. Imagine remember the Charlotte Bobcats for a while there, and I remember during the Kobe and Laker era, the second version, right? The second great teams when Kobe won back-to-back with Pau Gasol. I remember the Charlotte Bobcats were competitive around that time, and they would always be like the 8th seed. That's where the Steelers are right now. They have a very hard time, ownership does, in getting into that area where they finally need to understand that being in the middle is not going to work. And I feel bad for one guy, really. I mean, I really feel bad for him because, and I know he probably shouldn't. I mean, he's already been a pretty accomplished guy, but Aaron Rodgers still has it. He's not what he was 5 years ago, but damn it, he has it. And he hasn't been given any weapons. He hasn't been hardly given any protection. And you just have leadership there that just won't conform to anything great. It's just C to C minus, and that starts with Mike Tomlin. The common denominator is, doesn't matter if Aaron Rodgers is there, doesn't matter if it was Kenny Pickett, doesn't matter if it was Ben Roethlisberger. The results are the same thing, and that is playing below snuff. And that's where you're at right now. You're at that level right now. Losing to the Cleveland Browns, not even scoring a touchdown, not even one touchdown against the Cleveland Browns. I don't give a shit how good their defense is. I don't care who's playing over there. You have no business ever losing to the Cleveland Browns and not scoring a touchdown. You should at least score at least one touchdown. And if they had today, they would have won the game. And I really don't know if it would have mattered anyways. And I think that's probably why I'm not really maybe too overly upset. I don't know if it's maybe because it's kind of my show where I'm not being asked questions. Maybe it's because I'm kind of leading this. I've always kind of wondered why my temper doesn't go off as much when I'm by myself versus when I'm with a crew. But, anyways, the Steelers are right back to where they've been for how long? For those of you who have been following the Steelers, this is where you're at. And mediocrity has been supported. And the only way, and I'm going to segue into something bigger that everyone here can relate to. I implore those in Pittsburgh, I implore them that if there indeed needs to be a little bit of a kick in the rear end to the Rooneys, the owners of the Steelers, and I hate to talk bad about the Steelers ownership. They're controlled by a very, very good family, very honest family, very uh, ethical family. I don't want to go too negative on this, but I am going to segue into something here that's going to make this make sense a little bit more. So, what is mediocrity? Where does it come from? Why are some so content to be that? And why is it a problem in life? Mediocrity stunts growth. So again, I'm going to use a little bit of real life stuff here with what's going on with this. And it'll also correlate with a lot of the things that are brewing around our Dodgers for some of us who are on here who are Dodger fans, a lot of my Dodger followers. Look at what's being kind of swirling around right now in baseball. We talked about the loser culture that is created from greatness. There's this loser culture, this excuse culture. There's this mediocre culture that will start to bang on the table and yell and scream about there needs to be a change. These people are too successful. They're too good. Well, let's look at football since 1993. Since 1993, when free agency was officially implemented into the NFL, we're talking about 32 seasons, 33 almost, right? And what has come about with the NFL? NFL has skyrocketed, right? Prices for team value has gone up, TV contract money has gone up, money has gone up, all that stuff has gone up, everything, right? And football is the most popular sport in America. Now, is that due to the fact that it became this socialistic process? Is that what's been kind of sort of swirling around the last 3 decades? Is that really what it was? Because the last time I checked, football was number one before that. And where I'm getting with this is the problem with equality where there shouldn't be is you're gonna get mediocrity. And in the NFL, the only thing that has set it apart from being, let's say, I don't know if I could say it more like the NHL. The NHL kind of, you can have any team that goes into the playoffs and win it all. That kind of has they kind of have that reputation. Whereas in the NFL, it's more geared towards, well, is Tom Brady going to be in it? Is Peyton Manning going to be in it? Is Troy Aikman going to be in it? That type of thing. John Elway went to back-to-back Super Bowls. In the end, if you take away the advantages of the main position in football, which is quarterback, everything becomes even. That's the only thing that separated mediocrity from consistent mediocrity is that quarterback. And it's not an accident that now that you're seeing quarterbacks that aren't really like the Tom Bradys and the Peyton Mannings and the Drew Breeses. No disrespect to Josh Allen and Sam Darnold and Brock Purdy and those guys. They're very good quarterbacks. But would you say that those guys are great quarterbacks, all-time great quarterbacks? Josh Allen is one of the best kind of two-way quarterbacks, scoring touchdowns and all that. But are you afraid of Josh Allen in the playoffs? I'm not. Are you afraid of the Sam Darnolds, the Brock Purdys? No. Who is the star in the NFL right now? It's a question to can kind of make you think a little bit. Patrick Mahomes finally hit the wall. The Kansas City Chiefs finally hit that wall. People figured him out. The big money that Patrick Mahomes got, the big money that Travis Kelce got, the big money that certain guys on that team who came through got, then lessened and lessened and lessened the ability to go out and get more talent, get more depth. So now here you are, you're in that first cycle of rebuild, right? So now Kansas City has to let Patrick Mahomes heal. Likely they're going to probably be without Travis Kelce. Hall of Fame career, great career, probably one of the best tight ends that's ever played. And then now you got to start drafting and you got to start bringing in guys that are going to start turning that thing over from rebuild to now competitive football, competitive title contending, right? And the mediocrity that I witness on a yearly basis with the Steelers is the reason why I don't like the salary cap. And the reason why I don't is because when you even everything out, you allow bad management to continue. And it's not because I don't like the Rooneys. The Rooneys are from the beginning. There's never been anyone that's ever owned the Steelers other than the Rooneys. They have owned the Steelers since 1933, and they've been great people, great for the community. I get that, but there's always that time, in my view, in anything where your time is up. And I'm not campaigning for them to sell, but what the system has created is that it's allowed mediocre leadership to continue and not have to worry about anything. See, in the NBA, it doesn't work like that. Even though they just sort of turned it into that, it's a little late now. But if Jeannie had waited, and if Jeannie, I guess, wasn't a billionaire or not a billionaire, who's to say she would do anything? I don't know. But in the NBA, this last bargain at CBA kind of created that, okay, now it's time to get out. And now whoever gets in it is probably not going to have to worry about it. Now, they're still got to get those TV contracts and have it make sense there, which obviously the Lakers do. But when you set up the system to be even, you then get stuck with the mediocrity. And that's kind of where the Steelers are. You're not going to be able to get rid of the Mike Browns in Cincinnati now, the McCaskies in Chicago, the Bidwells in Arizona, the Steelers, the Rooneys in Pittsburgh. And that's what happens when those guys are making enough money to where they don't have to sell and everything's evened out. Because now you have to just kind of sit there and hope that these guys give a damn about winning. And it just doesn't look like the Steelers care about winning. Sounds weird. Loyalty to a fault? I don't know if I want to use that term, because this is the most overrated analysis I've ever seen. And I don't want to call him an idiot, but Rich Eisen gets on his show. And by the way, he has a great show. I guess he books on that show. It might be the best talk show thing I've ever seen, actually. I've seen going on right now, actually. This guy props up Mike Tomlin, and so many people prop up Mike Tomlin, and I can't figure out why. Why are you talking about this guy like he's a great coach? You are lying, or you're stupid. Oh, he won 200. He had won 200 games. Yeah, of course he's won 200 games. He's been in the NBA, in the NFL for 20 years. But what does that mean? What are we doing here? Are we waiting for wins in the regular season and that's it? Is that really what you want this to be? You just want to be 9-8 every year? Is that what you want? Because Don Shula is the all-time winningest coach. And before he retired, he wasn't winning either. And no one wanted to talk about where he was kind of not doing well. It was Don Shula, right? You didn't want to disrespect him. You can't get rid of the one of the best coaches of all time. But the problem with that mentality is you don't win the things that matter when you're overly loyal. Now, what happened this is before, obviously, Jerry Jones with AWOL. Jerry Jones bought the Dallas Cowboys from Tex Schramm. Tex Schramm was a renowned, popular, well-known owner in the NFL. Had a great run. Super Bowls, Tom Landry from the beginning, all that stuff. What was the first thing that Jerry Jones did when he came in and bought the team? Fired the all-time coach of all coaches, right? And there was a lot of upset people in Dallas. People were really upset, especially after they started 1-15. It was even worse. Traded Herschel Walker, fired an icon, all that stuff. And then, of course, they all shut the hell up 3 years later when they won a Super Bowl again, had a little bit of a hiatus 1 year, and then won a Super Bowl again. That was the last time they've competed, obviously. But the point is, what is it? What is it that Pittsburgh wants? I'm talking about the ownership. Is anyone asking them these questions? I'm not in Pittsburgh to see the local stuff. I mean, I guess I could look for it here. You know, the internet is our friend. But what is it? When is it enough? And then mediocrity, the mediocrity gang. Every time somebody's doing too well, oh, we got to stop this. Just like with I was using Mahomes as an example. I can't figure out for the life of me why people hate Patrick Mahomes. What has Patrick Mahomes done to anybody? He won too much. What is it? You don't like Travis Kelce because he's dating a pop star? Is that really why you don't like him? I mean, because if that is really what it is, then you're a stupid idiot. Seriously, like that doesn't make any sense at all. So I'm in that purgatory area, which is where the Steelers are right now. We, the fans, know what's going on. I've seen every Mike Tomlin coached game. I haven't missed a Steeler game this century. And I will put a stamp on this. I will put 10 stamps on it. The most overrated anything in sports is Mike Tomlin. The things that I hear on the positive side about this guy from the media types that are supposed to have credibility is nauseating. This guy is a mediocre coach, and he's going to go into the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame being a mediocre coach. 19 seasons, only 4 playoff appearances. And those appearances were all from the regime, the players from the regime before. And I say all of them, I mean the meat of it, the heart of it, the Palomalos, the Ike Taylors, those guys, the Ben Roethlisbergers. This guy has not in any way separated himself from those teams. If he was on any other team except maybe Cincinnati, because Cincinnati kind of shares the same mediocrity and stupidness that the Rooneys are right now, he would have been gone 10 years ago. So at what point is this thing going to end? What has to happen? Because I'm not gonna count out that the Steelers won't end up winning next week. This is just like the Steelers. Okay, they'll lose to Cleveland this week. They went into Detroit and beat them in Detroit, even though half of Detroit's team is injured. Then they'll go beat a healthy Lamar Jackson, whom they've kind of owned anyways, and they'll stop Derrick Henry and they'll win next week. And then they'll get blown out a week later. It's like, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. That's the Steeler game. That's what happens. So when is it going to change? And that has been the MO in Pittsburgh with Aaron Rodgers, Ben Roethlisberger, with Kenny Pickett. Doesn't matter who. Doesn't matter who's been there. It's the same story. When does it end? When does it end? I'm going to get to some of you guys' comments. I'm going to stick to football here, guys. So if you have questions about other things, I'm going to probably skip over it. Let's see here. Joe, what happened to the Steelers today? They lost. How are you feeling about the shitty Browns? Yeah, it's just division rivals, always going to be a tough matchup, especially if you're playing at their place. But not scoring a touchdown, that's an embarrassment. Joe, thoughts on Texans' big win over the Chargers? Texans is another team that's I see the opacity with the green screen and the background is a bit off, but it works for the first time. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to go with this, Dave. I wanted to see how my head looked with the shattered glass that my guy Chris created. So I had a green screen that I ordered, but it didn't work for some weird reason. So I'm going to play with this a little bit, and we'll see if it's something that I end up doing. Shadur thinks he's God now because he beat the Steelers. Well, yeah, not really. He won't be in the NFL too long. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. Who will the Raiders pick with the first pick? Who do you think? Arthur Smith is a bad coach. No, Mike Tomlin's a bad coach. I don't know how many offensive coordinators you can possibly get before you realize that the common denominator is still the guy that's wearing the headset, the main headset. Sora, did you watch Snoop Dogg Bowl yesterday? No, I didn't watch that trash. Joe Sora would only punch Astros fans and players like that's funny. This team would lose in the first round anyways. Why does it matter? Well, see, that's the thing is when does it start to matter? That's the whole discussion here. When does this start to matter? 10 years, 12 years, 15 years? At what point? See, Aaron Rodgers and Cameron Hayward yesterday or last week were walking with Mike Tomlin and saying 200 stood doing this. All right, yeah, all right, They're not doing anybody any favors. We're not stupid. Okay, we're not stupid. None of this matters. Regular season wins don't matter. You're not winning anything of relevance. When are you going to start caring about that? We don't need to have 3 coaches in 80 years, man. Okay? Get the right coach. You had the right coach in your grasp, by the way. I'm going to keep harping on this considering what's gone on in Chicago. Chicago called, it's on record. Chicago called Pittsburgh about Mike Tomlin. Imagine if this dumbasses had just taken the call and seen what the Bears would give them. Take that guy and get Ben Johnson here. Ben Johnson was the guy. He's the Sean McVay of this era in terms of talent. And you could have had, I have no doubt that the Steelers would be in a much better position right now with a rookie Ben Johnson than they would have Mike Tomlin. And you would have had some draft capital to go with it. How stupid are you? How stupid are you? But that's what this is. I don't get it. We're supposed to be armchair quarterbacks that don't know anything, right? You tell me if I'm wrong on that. And I didn't say this today. I said this 2 years ago. This was even when he turned down the Washington Commanders job, Ben Johnson. I wanted him since then. So what else has to happen here for this thing to get changed up? When? At what point is it going to be enough? Enough is enough. Do they have to go 0 for 17? I think that's counterproductive at that point, isn't it? It's too bad, too, because if they had had just a little bit of competency and not had spent so much money on DK Metcalf, first of all, and the great thing is receipts matter in the world when you're talking about things, right? So I go to a Steelers forum where I put down early in the season, and I got a lot of laughs. I got made fun of, actually, saying that DK Metcalf is not a number 1 receiver. He never has been. He's a glorified one. He's really a number 2 at best. At best, he's a number 2. A guy that drops the ball as much as he does and doesn't create separation well is never going to be a number 1 to me. There are 2 things that the receiver has to have in his arsenal at all times. Great hands, great separation. Much like a quarterback needing to throw accurately and to read a defense before the ball is hiked. Doesn't matter how fast, how bullet arm he has, how tall he is, whatever. If you come to me and you say that quarterback is accurate and can read a defense, you're going to find yourself seeing someone that knows what they're doing. You know, Drew Brees wasn't a big guy. Drew Brees was listed at 6 feet. If he's 6 feet, I'm 6'5". By the way, I'm 6'2", 6'3", with shoes on. Okay? So don't give me that BS. That guy was 5'10" and a half, probably. Maybe even 5'9". I've heard 5'9" in some cases. But he was as accurate as they come and could read a defense backwards before the ball was even close to him. So, DK Metcalf is your number 1. That was the first mistake. And you're paying him number 1 money, which is fine in this instance at this point because you don't really have a $50 million number on a franchise quarterback. You're paying Aaron Rodgers a good amount of money, but it's not franchise money, so you have enough money to go around. But the team construction is just not good. They drafted enough to get a good line, which they did. Eventually, it came about because at the beginning of the year, their line was horrible. And then, of course, as things got repetitive and a little easier to understand certain things with certain guys that you're playing with, you start seeing Aaron Rodgers getting protected more. You saw the running game get a little bit better. He was throwing passes a little bit better. The problem was we saw a lot of guys getting hurt. We saw stupid decisions by DK Metcalf and getting suspended, and just overall bad coaching, bad preparation. Bad preparation is really what it was. Today was bad preparation. Bad preparation, which always happens at least 3 or 4 times a year with a Mike Tomlin coach team. That is way too many mistakes in a 17-game season. You cannot be ill-prepared for 3 games every single year. Think about that for a second. If you're not going to be prepared and you're going to lose 1 of 3, 2 of 3, or all 3 of those games, you're getting yourself in a position where you're constantly having to play the last game of the year to get in to go play 4 games. I mean, just it's mind-boggling to me how this is not being computed. I don't get it. What is it? Is it about money? Is it about not looking bad? I don't understand what's going on, and I don't know what's going on with the Pittsburgh media. I don't know if they're being too nice. I know the national media is being nice, and I know why they're being nice, because they think Mike Tomlin's cool. That's great. He is cool. He's got good morals, and he's a good man. But he ain't a good coach. He's not a good coach. Not a good head coach. It's over. Whatever this extended honeymoon that people have with this guy, it's fucking over. Time to clean the slate. And I would still keep Aaron Rodgers, by the way. I would keep Aaron Rodgers. I'd sign him to a 2-year contract. Got to add a receiver in the draft. Got to add a receiver in free agency. Add more depth to that defense. But get rid of Mike fucking Tomlin and put some new, fresh blood in there. Someone that has some brains for an offense. Someone that has a different communication style, because it's not working. The results are right there. It's not freaking working. Let's see. Get back to where you guys were. Bloodhound. This was a typical Tomlin loss. The Steelers lose to teams they should be beating. I mean, the fact that they made Shedeur Sanders, who's going to be out of the league in a few years, by the way, unless he's content of being a backup, which that's fine too. Jacoby Brissett is kind of this generation's what's his name? The one with the beard on Prime, Fitzpatrick. He's the guy that kind of covers the number 1 quarterback that's out. And sometimes they're out for a whole year. Sometimes they're out for a few games. I think Shedeur probably has that in his future, if that's something he prefers to be. I think that would probably be, that's likely going to be his future, should he choose it. But as far as being a starting quarterback in this league, no, he won't make it. Thanks, Mark. Oh, thanks to Chris for that as well. Thank you. Chris, how you doing, bud? Thank you again for the graphics. Again, I'm doing a little test here. We'll see how it kind of plays out. Whether I get a green screen so I can make it a little bit smoother or what, but kind of does look like I'm bursting out of the glass, right? So I kind of wanted to see how it looked. Let's see, David. Okay. Oh, I'll sub since you're both a Steelers and Dodgers fan. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, who are here for the first time, this is only my second Steelers show. I made my bones in the Laker world. I co-host with Gerald Glassford on the Lakers Fast Break, and then I ended up creating my own show in March of this year called The Experiment. And my plan was to have a show for each of my 3 teams. I'm a Steeler fan, a Dodger fan, and a Laker fan, and wanted to give a little bit of exclusivity to the Steeler thing because I hadn't done that yet, and was able to create the production value around it, and it's been working already. In the first 2 shows, I've been getting an uptake in viewership, as well as subs. And Pittsburgh. For those of you who don't know, Pittsburgh is a nationwide team, and the moniker that they use is they're the best traveling team in the NFL. That's not necessarily true. They are not the best traveling team or best traveling fan base. What it is in the late 60s, early 70s, when the steel mills started closing down in Pittsburgh, people dispersed from Pittsburgh. They went to go get jobs elsewhere. So the Pittsburgh, and that was right at the beginning of the Steeler dynasty of the 70s. So all those people who left in the late 60s and in the early 70s, that was right when they drafted Mean Joe Green. They got Chuck Noll as a coach. They drafted Terry Bradshaw. Then in 72, they got Franco Harris. And then 74 was kind of the tipping point in terms of getting them to where they ended up being, which was a 4-time Super Bowl champ in 6 seasons. And with that, with television advancing, with all that going on, you saw all those Yinzers who dispersed even outside the country. Costa Rica has a huge Steeler bar over there, or Steeler bars in Costa Rica. It became a national team, and a national fan base was everywhere. I was at a bar when I first moved to San Diego. I was at a bar every Sunday with all old school Pittsburghers. All of them, almost all of them were from there. The bar was owned by a Yinzer, and we used to watch all the games there before DirecTV started getting big and easily accessible. So again, David, thank you for being here. Again, like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. We'll probably be talking a lot of Pittsburgh Steeler football here between now and the end of the year, and hopefully with some positive news to come about with it. So the Steelers could use Vince. That's funny, son. Always a funny one. C.J. Stroud is the best young quarterback. I wouldn't go that far. He's okay. He's good. He's a good quarterback. I wouldn't go next great, top, young, whatever. We will be okay. Tough catch up during the game. That's good. Joe, did you watch Snoop Dogg? No, I didn't watch. I don't watch any of that stuff. I'll catch you on the Laker game. Have a feeling. Well, yeah. A lot of the reasons why I had the show today early is because I wanted to make sure I was focused on the game today. I want to see what this meeting did, whatever this meeting was. I always love team meetings to see what's going to rile these guys up. Rodgers couldn't get it done. Is this the end? Tony, I hope not, because I think Aaron Rodgers still looks great. Believe me, I am not on any kind of Aaron Rodgers boat. I do like the guy. I liked him even before he became a Steeler because I just like the way he kind of pokes fun at people trying to control him. I think I'd sign Aaron Rodgers for a couple more years. Let Will Howard study under him. I mean, really study under him, so that in the next couple of years, as things transition, Will Howard will have all the time to develop and all the time to take over, and hope that he can be that guy, because I just don't see. I don't even know if that's going to work. I have no idea. I'm trying to go with it as easy as I can. I don't want Ohio State quarterbacks are not notoriously, even though C.J. Stroud is having a good career so far. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know if I want to throw him into something like this, especially with Mike Tomlin as a coach. I'm kind of holding my hope in that we see a transition. And in the meantime, I'd rather see Aaron Rodgers there. Maybe they can get lucky, especially with the way the NFL's competitive kind of tenor is right now. It's really anybody's title now. I don't remember the last time I think 1999 maybe, like 99 when the Rams played the Titans in the Super Bowl. At the time, you saw that the Rams were amazing, but you didn't really know. I mean, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were good at that time. The Raiders were good. The Titans were good, or I should say the Raiders were kind of coming up. Titans were good. Steelers were sort of playing okay. The Ravens. But you really didn't know. You really didn't know. It's kind of weird. The Rams and the Titans were in the Super Bowl. And I remember thinking, Steve McNair, yeah, he's good. Kurt Warner, this amazing story of how that kind of happened. That's really where the story was. It wasn't about greatness. It wasn't about, oh, this great defense that's going to come dominate or great quarterbacks going to play against each other. That's the last time I remember an NFL season being this kind of even. So we'll have to see how that kind of plays out. But I've thoroughly enjoyed Aaron Rodgers' game. He's had a couple of bad games, but I guess that's not something to balk at in my book. All the other games have been pretty damn good, and a lot of it is towards he just doesn't have enough guys that can get open, and that's kind of been the issue. Aaron yelled more at the sidelines than he did at his own players. That's funny that you say that, Dave, because he did, and it looked like he was upset with what they were doing. I'm telling you guys right now, it's one of the things why I love Aaron is you screw up, he's going to tell you. That's how he does things. And I don't know. I can't blame Arthur Smith too much. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Again, these problems have been there with Aaron, without Aaron. So the common denominator is Mike Tomlin, and he doesn't seem to have any clue on how to fix it. I've been a diehard Packers fan for 18 years now. Was rooting for Rodgers to make the playoffs. They're gonna have to win next week, Tony. I don't know how it's gonna play out though, man. I wouldn't be surprised if they beat the Ravens, and I wouldn't be surprised if they lost to the Ravens at this point. We're right in the middle, just where they've been for the last decade. You are a joke, Sorrow. Oh well, thank you. Trevor, I do like to tell jokes, and sometimes they're jokey and fun. I hope you continue to like it. Does Aaron Rodgers like Arthur Smith? I don't think Aaron Rodgers likes anybody. That's probably why I relate to him. I don't really like anybody either. So I don't think it has anything to do with like, but it's about doing the job. And this might not have been, it looked like Arthur Smith's best game in terms of play calling, especially the second to last drive that they had. They ran all three times, and we couldn't figure out why. I think that might have cost them the game, considering they were at the 50-yard line. I just think but then they drove down in the last drive, and they couldn't get in the end zone. It's just guys couldn't get open. I think Aaron kind of depended on certain receivers a little too much towards that last drive. Scandling is kind of new to the team. I don't want to kill him. The guy's been there for a few weeks, not in tune with Aaron Rodgers. Didn't look like he had any desire to kind of figure out what to do either. I don't know. A lot of times desire can get you places, and I didn't see that either. So I'm not going to put it on Arthur Smith or Aaron Rodgers. This is supposed to be the head coach making the right calls, and he's just not capable of doing it. He's not capable of coaching this correctly. And this is the result. When your players and your coordinators don't know what's going on, your head coach is supposed to know. And that's something that Mike Tomlin has not really ever been able to do. Oh, so they still have a chance to make it. Yeah. They got to win next week, and they win the division. If they lose, I think they're out, but I have to look at – there's certain scenarios that have to happen, too. I have to look at it. Steelers could sure use Jerome Bettis and Hines Ward. Interesting. I'd say Derrick Henry's kind of this generation's Jerome Bettis. Hines Ward, I don't think we'll ever see again in any capacity in the NFL. All the things that, in terms of rules changed, were, especially on the offensive end, were pretty much Hines Ward rules. Can't crack block. You can't block somebody that's looking up, sideways, whatever it is. I will say this, though. Those are the two most leader-heavy players you'll ever see on a football team. And I miss them greatly. Hines Ward, Jerome Bettis, very, very happy that very, very happy that I had the chance to see those guys play and to see them win. Hines Ward winning Super Bowl MVP, winning 2 Super Bowls, Jerome winning a Super Bowl in Detroit to cap off his Hall of Fame career. The only thing I can think of and say is I have happy memories, and I'm happy I was able to watch them play, and happy to see them retire as Steelers. And anytime I get a chance, anytime I get an itch to watch them play, all I got to do is pop in the DVDs. It's at least we have that as Steeler fans. At least we saw that. Go to hell, Trevor. It's funny. Trevor, hey, Trevor Lanes. Meet us on the LFB tonight. We'll have some good talk there about your commentating. We always do all the time anyways. Is Shadur Sanders a good quarterback? No, he's not. Bettis faking the injury was the best. Yeah, that was funny. I own you, Sin Blades. Sure you do. I own you, Sorrow Poor. Okay. Trevor, when you get out of the hospital. That's funny. Why is Trevor Lane coming in and messing with me on Steeler night? This isn't the Lakers show, man. Some of you guys just can't let go. I can't just be Lakers all day, guys. I got two other teams I got to cater to, all right? The Steelers were my first, like I'm a football guy. Look, I'm a football guy. I love basketball, love baseball, but football is in my blood. I played football organizationally. So you guys gotta be able to share. You gotta be able to share a little bit. So I'm just saying, gotta share. Joe Soar is also LAFC. Well, I'm a fan of you, my friend, and you happen to play for the team. So and so is my friend Glendy. She loves you. So I placate you a little bit because she loves you, and you're in LA. And hey, look, any team in LA that brings championships to LA, I salute you. Right? It just adds more to the aura of the town. Right? And I'm not an LA guy outside the sports. I'm not talking about the city of LA. Although I don't want to dog on LA. My good friend Empire Jeff lives in LA, and he's a very prideful LA man. But I'm probably more adversarial with that due to the politics of that city. So, anyways, that's kind of how that goes. Trevor, Mark Walter going to cut you out of the payroll just like that's my guy, man. That's my guy, Trevor. You're gonna have to deal with Chris. You're gonna have to deal with Chris if you get too close. Remember that. Okay. Boy, talking about cleaning the laundry. Woo! It just I try not to get too crazy with everything being, well, we got to replace this guy. We got to replace that guy. Well, I mean, let's be real here, guys. How long do we have to watch mediocrity until you have to clean it out, right? These organizations are not, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the LA Lakers are not, they're not second, third tier teams. These are iconic franchises. The Steelers have when you look at the records in NFL history from the Super Bowl era of 1967 and on, the Steelers have almost every record, playoff wins, Super Bowls. I mean, these guys are a staple of this league. The shield most of that shield is black and gold. And much like Laker fans are, Steeler fans are very demanding. We want Super Bowls. I've only seen 2 Super Bowls. I know some of you haven't. Cleveland Browns haven't even been to a Super Bowl. They haven't been to a Super Bowl ever. We're talking almost 60 years now. Oh, well, it's going to be 60 years. They're not going to make the playoffs. So imagine that, how greedy we are. I've seen, the Steelers have been to 8 Super Bowls. I've seen 4 of them, seen 2 losses and 2 wins. So at least seen them as a grown adult, right? And that's what we're used to. That's what it's about in Pittsburgh. It's about Super Bowl wins. And I want that 7th Super Bowl because we need to pass up the Patriots. The Patriots are tied with the Steelers in all-time Super Bowl wins. So that's that. And that's where I'll go with that. Let's see here. Where are we? That's Laker talk, son. Laker talk. We're talking Steelers. Let's talk Steelers. I worked in Irvine, and everyone in an office was a Steeler fan. So, yeah, Steeler fan. There was a story. I always get 2 different answers on this. I heard that the NFL asked the Steelers if they could be America's team. You all know America's team is the Dallas Cowboys now, right? But I heard several times, I just don't know if it's 100% true, that the league actually asked them. I think it was the NFL Films, might have been NFL Films, asked them if they can say that the Pittsburgh Steelers are America's team. But the Rooneys said, no, we are Pittsburgh's team. And then they went to the Cowboys after that, which it sort of would make sense. They asked them in the 70s. And at that time, if you are up to the information like I am, if you look at the 70s, TV really got big in the 60s, late 60s, and then it really started getting going in the 70s, right? Right around that time, you had Roger Staubach and then Terry Bradshaw, and you had the Miami Dolphins were a force at the beginning of the 70s too. They won back-to-back titles in 72 and 73, and in 72 they went undefeated. So you kind of had this, like at the beginning of the 70s, you did see the Cowboys win a Super Bowl in 71, and then the Miami Dolphins won the next two. Then that's when the Steelers and Cowboys started kind of doing their thing and kind of separating from the Dolphins. You had the Cowboys went to 4 Super Bowls in that decade, won 2, lost 2, and those 2 that they lost to were against the Steelers. Steelers with the 4 Super Bowls won all 4 and ended up being the team of the 70s. So they were going to pick one of 2, right? Because that was the name. You know, Roger Staubach, till this day, to me, is still Captain America. That is Captain America. Man went to the Navy, went into the service, was a quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, America's team, was the comeback king at that time. You know, comeback games were the norm back in the day. It was a rare thing. Nowadays, Matt Schaub back in the day when he was quarterbacking the Atlanta Falcons, he was one of those kind of half-tier guys like Kirk Cousins that I was talking about. Once the rules kind of lessened, you saw a lot of those guys playing well, right? And you had basically Roger Staubach, Terry Bradshaw. You had 2 good old boys, right? They were the good old boys captaining the 2 best teams of the 70s. And one went with the tag, one didn't. The original was Pittsburgh, and now you know the America's team as the Cowboys, and of course we know the mediocrity that's gone on in there. Imagine how we feel, and then imagine how the Dallas Cowboy fan feels. But the only way you're going to move anything, guys, is stop going to the games. But no one in Dallas seems to want to stop, and it doesn't seem like a lot of people want to stop in Pittsburgh either. So until that becomes a drastic change, I don't know. And the thing is with Jerry Jones, he's a next level marketing billionaire type. See, the Rooneys are not. Rooneys are rather cheap and are nickel and dimers. So if half the stadium doesn't show up, then they're going to feel it because they do pay attention to the nickels and dimes still. That might make the change, but doesn't seem to. There's not enough of that. There's not enough of that to turn these guys into, let's say, the Marlins fan base, right? Marlins fan base, what is it, 12,000 that they'll go to a home game every now and then? It's just not there. It's just not there. There's not enough pressure to get Mike Tomlin out of there to get this thing redone a little bit. So we're going to have to, Steeler fans, kind of stick to it and see what happens. Wiz Khalifa and Snoop probably lighting it up. Isn't Wiz Khalifa stuck in Romania for lighting it up? You might want to check your info there, son. I don't know. That was the last time I heard that he got arrested in Romania. Craigers, what's up, bud? Good to have you here, man. The Snoop Bowl was real. Yeah, I did see a highlight of him catching a kickoff in the end zone or some shit. A lot of the money, I guess, all the money that went to the bowl game went to charity. So my hat's off to him. Good for him. Seems to be doing good things for everybody. But those bowl games to me are a waste of time in terms of entertainment value. I've never liked them. It's not just now. I've never liked them. I'm looking forward to seeing more playoff games in college football, and that's it. I couldn't care less about the bowl games. You got to watch what you do overseas, especially in Romania. Didn't that Andrew Tate almost get convicted for child trafficking? I'm putting quotes up there, guys. Allegedly trafficking kids or something like that. Yeah, don't think you can go over there and think you can do what you want. That's why a lot of these political, these little political rats that go to American United States campuses. Why don't you go overseas and do that shit? Go where that stuff's happening. See how fast you tuck tail and run, you coward. You guys are all just like those scumbags who go on behind their little phones and talk shit. Talk shit with no merit. You want to talk shit? At least bring something to the table. Don't just come on the tube and go, "Oh, you suck." Come on, bring something. Yeah, allegedly, that's what's going on. But we all know when it comes to weed and Wiz Khalifa, I don't think there's any allegedly there. Would you say, Drip? I think it's pretty solid if I had to guess. Son, what the fuck kind of question is that? I couldn't go through a whole show, an hour. I'm just going to do an hour tonight. Couldn't do an hour a show without you bringing those two fucking dinks. Come on. I don't care about either one of those people. They are a distraction to what's really going on, just like everything else. I don't care about those people. I don't want to know about those people. I don't care if they're dead or alive. Doesn't matter. Now, with that, I want to thank you all for being here this morning, this afternoon, and this evening. Wanted to get my Steeler program out a little bit, get a little bit of the nerves out, get a little bit of the disappointment out, and get the word out a little bit that this team might be a week away from being done again and again without likely a playoff run. So with that, I do appreciate you guys being here, especially some of you new ones, even the ones that have been talking shit. Come back, subscribe, like, and hit the notification button. You can talk shit all you want. Just don't get mad when I clown you. So with that, have a good day, have a good morning, have a good evening, and until next time, we'll see you next time.